Miguel Santiago.
Thank you very much, and I first want to thank the Senate Pro Tem for the state of California for his leadership in always protecting immigrants and putting them first above politics. Now let's set the stage about why it's important to take care of this issue today. Because we know that when this administration started its campaign, they called out Mexicans and labeled them racist. Let's be very clear about the actions that the House leadership and the Senate leadership has done the entire time, which is to roll back the protections on immigrants, working families, and all the progressive values that California believes in. So let's set the stage about why it's important to take care of this today. Because we know that the Trump administration, Trump himself, had made a commitment before to our two leaders that he would take care of this issue early on, and he reneged. There is no reason now to believe that he is going to keep a commitment, or that the House leadership or Senate leadership will keep that commitment as well. There is no reason to believe that. Now let's set the stage again why it's important to take care of that issue before the end of the year. Because this is the one time the Democrats have leverage to hold back a budget spending bill on the heels of the worst tax breaks to corporations that America has ever seen. This is the one time where we have the votes and the ability to stand up. Shame on the Republicans for passing a budget bill that doesn't include the DREAM Act, a clean DREAM Act. But we got to double down the shame on any Democrat who supports a budget bill at this point in time that does not include a clean DREAM Act. Because we know that the Republican leadership in the Senate and in the House, and that the Trump administration will not hold on to their commitments, and we can't trust them. So if we don't do this now, we will not see the possibility of a clean DREAM Act down the line. Now, some people may think that we've got January to do this or February. Let's take a look at what's at stake. Hundreds of thousands of students, hundreds of thousands of people all over this country, almost 1 million families torn apart. And we can't afford to wait. The deadline's coming up pretty soon. We all know it, March 5th. So March 6th, folks could be out on the street. And folks are talking about waiting until January and February. Shame on any Democrat or shame on any Republican who thinks that we can actually wait. Esto es sumamente importante que hagamos este acto de asegurar que nuestros dreamers puedan estar aquí en los Estados Unidos y que lo hagamos ahora. Nosotros sabemos que la administración de Trump, el liderazgo de la Casa Menor y el liderazgo del Senado no van a cumplir con hacerlo esto en el futuro. Si no lo hacemos ahora, que necesitan nuestros votos, que necesitan el apoyo de los demócratas para pasar un bill del presupuesto, nunca lo van a hacer. Es sumamente importante que se haga ahora y no se rompan las millones de familias aquí en los Estados Unidos, porque nosotros sabemos que ahora no es de la política, es de proteger a la gente de este país que ni puede votar y a los que nos necesitan mucho más. And at the end of the day, damn it, it's Christmas. Have a heart. Vote for something that matters for people. It's Christmas. Have a heart. Vote for something while we're going to the holidays. Don't keep people out on the streets. Thank you. God bless. And we're hoping on their conscience to pass a bill that includes a DREAM Act. Thank you, Senator.
Thank you. Next, I have the honor to bring up to the microphone an actual dreamer, a beneficiary of the DACA program under then President Barack Obama, someone whose future is in jeopardy if we don't find a final resolution to her future and that of more than 800,000 other dreamers throughout the country. Let me bring up to the microphone Katy Garcia. Katy Garcia.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Katia Garcia, and I'm a youth organizer with Chirla, and I'm also affected by the elimination of DACA. First of all, I would like to thank Senate Pro Tem Kevin De León and the California Community Foundation for setting this press conference together. The first point that I would like to make is that Even though some members of Congress say that we have until March to fix DACA, the reality is that there's no fix to DACA. The youth are not able to renew their work permits, and youth are also not able to submit their applications for the first time. And this is really important to know, because that means that the urgency to do something about this issue is now. Not tomorrow, not the next day, it's now. And this is why the California Dream Network and WISA, which are the youth branch of CHIRLA, we have been involved in so many actions to try to push for a Clean Dream Act. We have done over 60 legislative visits trying to convince Republican representatives to help us pass the DREAM Act. We even fasted for 3 days. We have sent you to Washington, D.C. for around 5 times to try to pass something this year. This is also really personal to me because I'm a DACA beneficiary. My younger sister is also DACA recipient. She wants to be an English teacher, but I'm scared that if nothing is done now, her dream of becoming a teacher can never happen. And so we are shattering dreams, not only my sister's dreams, but the dreams of so many youth living here in the United States. California, it's a really important. It's a state that has done a lot to help the youth, but we need to do more. And we need to keep all representatives accountable. And it's also really important for representatives to remember that we will not forget. If you do something to help us, we will remember. But if you don't do anything, then we will see you when it's time to vote again for you. Thank you.
Next, I want to bring up to the podium a really big champion for youth, a big champion for higher education, especially for those who live in under very difficult circumstances, giving real opportunities to succeed. Let's bring up to the microphone the president of the Campaign for College Opportunity. That's no other than Michelle Sequeiros. Michelle Sequeiros.
Good morning. My name is Michelle Sequeiros. I'm president of the Campaign for College Opportunity, a California organization focused on ensuring that all students, regardless of their immigration status, their income, the color of their skin, or gender, can go to college and graduate with a degree that will allow them to earn a good living and make California's economy stronger. Like most Americans, I am the descendant of immigrants. So today, I stand proudly with our Senate Pro Tem leader, Kevin De León, and fellow civil rights, business, and labor leaders and students in Los Angeles to urge Congress to pass the DREAM Act. In a time when partisan politics makes us feel more divided than united as a nation, passage of a bipartisan legislative action by Congress would certainly be the best holiday gift our policymakers could give us. During this season, I'm reminded of the beautiful Christmas tradition of Posadas, which reenacts the pilgrimage to Bethlehem by Mary and Joseph in search of shelter. All the innkeepers, as many of you know, turned them away, so they were forced to take shelter in a barn. That's where Jesus was born. Today, we would like to think that if Mary and Joseph had come knocking on our doors, we would let them in. In the spirit of the season, in the spirit of generosity and human kindness, there's no greater gift than providing shelter, than keeping families together, than supporting their college dreams, and allowing students like Katie to work so our economy doesn't falter. The DREAM Act would do this. Our country was founded on immigrant dreams, and immigrants have been critical to our nation's success. Our country can't afford to lose the talent young immigrants and DACA recipients provide our nation. Despite their status, there's only one country they know and love, and that's the United States of America. We urge Congress to pass the DREAM Act so that our economy won't suffer what is projected to be a $1.5 billion loss in tax revenue. And more importantly, because it's the morally right and smart thing to do. I'd also like to speak directly to the nearly 220,000 Californians with DACA status and the estimated 2 million undocumented residents in our state. Do not give up. Your work has ensured that every American enjoys food on their table. Your work has helped build this great nation. We stand with you. We will keep fighting for you, and we will keep fighting for a more perfect union that understands that immigrants are exactly what makes California and the United States of America great. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Michelle, for very beautiful words. Next up, we also have a big champion in our business community that always promotes diversity and inclusivity, especially when it comes to our dreamers. Let's bring up the chairwoman of the Los Angeles County Business Federation, no other than Hillary Norton. Hillary.
Thank you. Good morning. As a descendant of immigrants myself, it is so important to support a DREAM Act. We will never have the kind of economy that we need in California without the DREAM Act passing. We will never have the kind of dignity and the opportunities to work that all of these students who have never known another country but the United States are eager to have. We need the DREAM Act to pass because our economy, our families, our dignity as a state depend on this. Do not allow this to be a DREAM Act deferred. This is the time now to do the right thing. And I thank you for your leadership, Senator De León and for Assemblymember Santiago. Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much, Shirley. We have a few more, then we'll go to questions and answers. Next up, we have the Vice President and the Political Director of SCIU USWW, a longtime champion for fighting for better wages for many of the women who actually clean these high rises during the early hours of the morning and late at night. Let's bring up Sandra Diaz. Sandra Diaz.
Thank you, Senator. And as we heard today, we're here to call upon Congress. We're here to call upon every Democrat in this country, every Democrat in the state of California to stand with us, to have a spine and to do what's right. At a moment in time where we're looking at a spending bill, a tax bill that attacks almost every American in this country, that attacks the poor and mostly people of color in this country, we're asking for Democrats to have a spine and stand up for us. At a time where we're having dreamers right now trying to decide can I still come out and speak out? But they are, and they have the courage to uphold our democracy. At a time where we're having immigrants feeling that they're hanging by a thread in this country, we have a very important question to ask ourselves. Is that the country that we want to be? And the answer is no. The moment right now is to ask Congress to do what they've been elected to do, to stand up and fight for people like us, to stand up and not use us as political pawns. And when we say a Clean Dream Act, we mean a Clean Dream Act. We mean we want dreamers to be able to stay and pursue their dreams and continue to contribute to our society. We're also saying we are not going to allow you to put a DREAM Act on the table that puts our parents back to their homes. Our parents were the original DREAM Acts, and we're here, we're asking to act, we're asking you to stand with us, and we're asking you to uphold the American values. Many folks have come to this country looking for hope and a beacon of light, and that's what we have stood for centuries. So today, Congress, every Democrat in the country, we're calling on Feinstein, we're calling on Pelosi, on Schumer, stand with us, do what's right, do not take us for granted as community, because we are taking count, we are noticing, and we are ready, and we're more united than ever to make this country change. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sandra, for those very powerful words. Now let's bring up a campaign associate with Courage Campaign, Raquel Parra. Raquel.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Raquel with Courage Campaign. For those of you that don't know, Courage Campaign is the largest progressive advocacy organization here in California. So on behalf of our 1.4 million members, we stand here with this coalition and the pro tem to demand a Clean Dream Act. We believe that every Democrat, especially here in California, has an obligation to stand up for the most vulnerable communities in our country. And with families being broken up every single month and over 3 dozen Republicans in the House of Representatives already endorsing the DREAM Act, it's a shame and it's disappointing that not all Democrats here in the California congressional delegation haven't gone up and said the same. Courage campaign was founded to demand courage from our leaders, and we ask they stand up for the California values of inclusion and equity, and that's exactly what the DREAM Act does. Not only is this a bipartisan effort, but it's already has support of over 100 Democrats nationwide, and that's why we stand here to demand that every Democrat support this bill. We say stand with our undocumented communities, and if not, we'll be here to hold you accountable. Thank you.
Next, we have the Program Director for Equality California, Robbie Rodriguez. Robbie.
Thanks so much. Hi, good morning, everybody. My name is Robbie Rodriguez with Equality California, and today we're asking that representatives in Washington, D.C. Support the DREAM Act of 2017 and to stand with the thousands of Dreamers across the country. Dreamers have been on the front lines of the LGBTQ movement and the immigrant rights movement, and each Dreamer is a vital part of their community. Equality California is committed to protecting the most vulnerable in the LGBTQ community and has been working with LGBT organizations across the country to call on Congress to act on behalf of Dreamers. We must stand with the 75,000 LGBT Dreamers in our country, the 36,000 LGBT Dreamers who have benefited and participated in the DACA program. The consequences of rescinding DACA are dire for LGBT recipients. They face being deported to countries where their lives could be in jeopardy. Deportation can be a death sentence for LGBTQ people who are forced to return to countries where LGBTQ people are subjected to hostility and violence, and where LGBTQ behavior and conduct is criminalized. It is absolutely cruel to rip people from their homes, their families, and their communities in the United States so that they can go back to countries that they hardly know or remember. Queer and transgender youth in particular already struggle with finding a safe space and inclusive environments. And these fears are only compounded with the uncertainties of being undocumented and the threat of deportation to countries where their identity puts them at clear risk for violence. Congress must take action to protect Dreamers and support the DREAM Act of 2017. This is a moral imperative. Congress's decision will determine the future of 800,000 immigrant youth, and their futures hang in the balance. Equality California stands on the side of Dreamers. Thank you so much. Thank you.
We have 2 more individuals. Can I bring up Claudia Estrada Powell, who's representing Planned Parenthood Advocacy Project right here in Los Angeles. Claudia.
Good morning. Thank you, Senator, for your leadership in here. Plan Parenthood creemos que la salud de nadie debe ser comprometida por su estatus migratorio. Creemos que todas las personas merecen la calidad de atención que es tan importante para nuestras familias. Sabemos que ser indocumentado ya es un obstáculo en nuestras comunidades inmigrantes y que muchas buscan la atención y que en muchas ocasiones no van a tener atención por miedo y temor a algo que les pueda pasar. La decisión del presidente Trump de rescindir del DACA realmente pone a nuestras familias en mucha desventaja. Queremos decirle a los senadores, a los congresistas que hagan su trabajo, que por favor pasen una migración comprensiva para estos jóvenes. Yo personalmente soy una mujer inmigrante, sé primera mano cómo se siente uno cuando viene en otro país e inclusive cuando paso a los bordes de California, a pesar que tengo ya tengo papeles, todavía me da miedo de hacerlo. Por favor, hagan su trabajo. Plan Parenthood está aquí apoyando este esfuerzo bipartidario y queremos que antes que vengan a California, nuestros representantes tengan esta decisión en Washington, D.C. I'm going to do a little English. Okay. At Planned Parenthood, we believe there is no health should be compromised because of the immigration status. We believe that all people deserve the high quality care no matter what, no matter where they are, where they live, and their income or their immigration status. We know that being undocumented can contribute to culture fear in the immigrant communities and keeping many from seeking life-saving care that they need. Repealing the DACA will only further heighten the fear of self-faced barriers to care. When communities that are already facing and access care are driven further into shadow, they forego the care that they need, preventing their own safety and economic security for their families. President Trump's decision to restain DACA will rip millions of families apart and irreparable harm communities that are already discriminating and barrier to access healthcare in this country. President Trump continued to follow through his harsh attacks against immigrant communities rooted in racism and white supremacy ideology. We will not silently stand by the dreamers and DACA recipients that many whom they are part of our Planned Parenthood community and rely on Planned Parenthood healthcare services are stripped by their rights and protections. Planned Parenthood believes that health centers has no barriers. In addition to our health centers in U.S., Planned Parenthood Global support more than 100 partners across Africa and Latin America to advance sexual and reproductive health in their own communities. Planned Parenthood support this bipartisan effort in Congress to immediately pass DREAM Act to protect immigrants' youth and their families, and now it's time to move forward with legislation that ensure immigrant youth in this country are able to live a life free from discrimination, fear, deportation, and have access to health care and control of their own destiny. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Claudia. Last but not least, we have Kevin Liu, who is an advocate for immigration with Advancing Justice at Los Angeles. Let's bring up Kevin Liu.
Hi, everyone. First off, I want to thank Senate Pro Tem Kevin De Leon for bringing me here today and showing that this movement is truly intersectional, cross-cultural, and indivisible. My name is Kevin Liu, and I am a legal advocate with the Immigration Project at Asian Americans Advancing Justice, Los Angeles. Over the past year, I've worked with many DACA recipients who depend on their work permits not only for their own survival, but for the livelihood of their families. There are roughly 1.5 million undocumented Asian and Pacific Islander immigrants living in the United States. Many are from China, Korea, the Philippines, and Vietnam. And because of the shame and stigma that often comes with being undocumented in these communities, we know that of the 152,000 Asian and Pacific Islanders eligible for DACA, only 20% replied for relief. So the longer Congress fails to act, the more they jeopardize the lives of young immigrants, pushing our undocumented community members deeper into hiding. My clients are students, they are working professionals, they are parents, and all of them have had their dreams deferred. Congress must pass a clean DREAM Act so that they can survive in the only country they know as home. In support of the people that we serve at Asian Americans Advancing Justice, we join the movement in demanding that Congress take action now to make a clean DREAM Act a reality. Thank you.
Okay, we'll open up to questions and answers. Myself or any participant here who's either spoken or not spoken. Questions, answers? Going once, going twice. Who are you with? I think it's atrocious what the Congress has just done. It's the worst tax policy measure in the history of this nation. It gives it will be a huge windfall for the ultra super rich of this country. It gives a very minimal tax cut that has a sunset for the middle class, for working class Americans. This is going to hurt our economy. There's no doubt about it. There's no question that Donald J. Trump and the members of the Republican Congress will hold their hat up, and declare a major political victory. This, at the end of the day, will be I think, will devastate the economy of this great country, because it's predicated that on the tax cuts, that those monies will be reinvested back into companies, back into the economy to create much more jobs. The reality is there's no proof that will happen. This is going to be a very difficult for our economy to move forward. It's a lot of fluff politically. At the end of the day, this will really hurt a state like California. We are the 6th largest economy in the world. We are a net contributor to Washington, D.C., which means for every dollar we send to Washington, we only get back roughly about 78 cents on the dollar. Well, that's going to be even less so because Californians will be hit hard disproportionately more than any other state in the union. So the tax vote will devastate, will hurt California, and shame on those Republicans, California Republicans who voted for this measure and followed Kevin McCarthy on this vote. Yes. Well, the obvious objective and purpose of this press conference is do everything within our power to press upon the members of Congress, specifically the Democrats, not to move forward with any type of continuous resolution. Because as Assemblymember Miguel Santiago just articulated a short while ago, it's the only political leverage that they have in the U.S. Senate that requires a minimum baseline of 60 votes to move forward the continuous resolution. Now is the time not to play politics with the lives of these young men and women across the country. Now is the time to demonstrate your real values and for leadership to step up and to make it very clear that they're not going to return back home. And they will move far to actually shut this government down, to make sure that we demonstrate the values that we all supposedly adhere to, and that we won't move forward until we find some resolution. Once you go past December 31st into January 2018, the political leverage that they had now will have been lost completely. So it's a time to know how to negotiate. It's a time to know how to leverage what you have. I can tell you this. If the Republicans were on the other side, they wouldn't hesitate for a nanosecond to shut down the government, to move forward what they believe in. Now it's a time for Democrats to step up. And that's why we've made it very clear to Ms. Pelosi, as well as to Chuck Schumer, as well to Ms. Feinstein. Now is a time to step up, not abandon these young men and women. Don't come back home to California if you haven't demonstrated your leadership and your courage to stand up for these young men and women. Okay, so I think that'll be it. For those who want individual interviews, for all the folks who are here, please feel free. And for those who want interviews, they're all right there. With that, thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
Hey, Nick Gingrich wouldn't have sold out his values